So you want to share the PPT as well?
Hmm?
All right. Or we are live. We are live.
All right.
So good afternoon, good evening, and good morning, everyone. Today, I'm very honored to invite our mate Shawn Lee, that from Detroit, to give us a talk about portraits with energies. So I was literally talking to Sean about 10 minutes ago. I said if I want to have the portfolio, I probably need to work my ass off for another 10 years or so. He is he is the founder and owner. Sorry, the founder of Rock That Photography Conference and Trade Show.
Mhm.
He is the president of the Multicultural Association of Professional Photographers, and Sean is also the industry speaker and director of the TED Talk Detroit.
Mhm.
And welcome, Sean.
All right. Thank you,
All
man.
right,
I
right.
appreciate it, Aries. You rock.
Yeah. So, guys, ask lots of questions, as much as question as possible. Sean is going to have a lots of very valuable slideshow to show us about using mixing your 8600, if I'm not making a mistake, right, and 8300 with ambient light, with
Mhm.
outdoors. There are lots of energies, HS shots with lots of sports and lots of vibrant color, which I enjoy a lot.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of vibrant color myself, as you can see my images. We
Yeah.
actually share common interest of yellows, right?
Yeah.
Because you were talking about my desert shot, I was like, oh, I love that. I love that yellow shots. You know,
Yeah.
the with the Bruce Lee sort of vibe, which is awesome.
Okay.
So can't wait to share with you guys all the fun lecture notes. Sean, do you want to share the screen, or do you want me to share the screen of the PPT?
No, you go ahead and please share the presentation. And we can certainly
All right,
start.
cool. Okay, sure. I will share the screen now, and
Cool.
application window share. Can you
Very.
guys see it?
I can see
Cool.
it. Yes.
Yep. All right.
There we go. Energy. Yeah. Oh, and hello from New Orleans. How you all doing? Rock that. And yes, we'll be back in New Orleans soon. Rock that. Bring the pain. We need you all to come to Detroit for Rock That conference. All right. Listen, guys, I probably take my images are probably as high energy as I am, right? And so I absolutely love people. Aries, that's something that you should know, is that I absolutely love people. I love portrait photography because I think my strongest skill set is the engaging of people. Although I think I'm a pretty decent photographer, I think my skill set in engaging people is strong, which is what makes I think my imagery strong. So starting out, with this first shot that we did, if you want to go to the next slide, um, this is an image that I absolutely love. Slide number 2. And this kind of shows we were hand holding, and this was actually a high school senior girl who ran track. How you doing, Daniel? Um, Puerto Rico, how you doing? Hey, Aries, is it okay to say hello to people as they come in? You want me to just keep
Yeah, yeah,
talking?
yeah. Of course, go by
Okay.
all. No, no, no. By all the means. Go ahead.
Okay.
Say hello.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So this happened to be a high school senior girl who ran track, and we wanted to capture a really cool kind of shot of her to commemorate her running track, right? So she didn't have availability of the school, and we didn't do the standard track setup shot that would be at the school on the track and field, and so. Me, her, and her mom kind of got together and talked about what this could look like. We talked about colors. They went and got this track outfit, and we talked about doing this really cool shot with the Detroit kind of skyline in the background. How's everybody doing? And so that day, it happened to be raining, right? And it was for me, it was perfect, right? I loved it because it made for this really, really, really super dramatic shot with the sky. So she had on bright yellow, and we had this dark grayish blue sky in the background. And we were able to kick down the ambient light of the shot. As you can see in the photograph where you can see the assistant holding the light and all of that stuff. And then we go to this, and you kind of see these are the shots, some of the shots that we captured, right? You can see it was a lot brighter than that. And I think what I did was I decreased by a couple of stops. And then we put the flash on her. And I couldn't tell you what we metered at. As I know I did a general metering for this shot and got it to where I wanted it. We might have done stop or two brighter than or above, standard or zero, right? And we captured this shot. So you can see the actual sky is not defined at all. It was very, very overcast. And if you look on the concrete, you can see that it was really wet, right? And the purpose of that is to kind of show that it was actually raining while we captured the shot. And so what we did some things in post, and we got the final shot, which is the next slide, which is 4.
Just give me 1 second.
Absolutely. Which is 4. And I absolutely love this shot for her. I have kind of a commercial style, which I think works extremely well. What we did was, that is the actual sky. What's going on, Money? How you doing? Rock that. That is the actual sky. So I didn't change the sky out or anything like that. All we did was contrast it a whole lot, right? And that was actually how the sky looked in the shot. And I think that gray just pops a heck of a lot against that yellow. I shot low as to make the jump look extremely high, and we shot it as if it were a Nike ad, right? And so that was really, really fun. That was really fun. I love doing this stuff, especially for families, especially for high school seniors who don't expect photography like this for high school senior portraits, right? And so for anybody who's maybe looking to do high energy, you don't necessarily go out and just shoot. You to capture their heart and their mind, to execute a vision. Communication, right? Should be a great deal of communication with the client, and preparation for what type of shot you want to capture, how you want that to look, so that you execute on site what you want to do. I think the other thing that I should mention is that I shoot fast, right? And so when you're dealing with clients, especially like high school seniors or moms or dads, everybody's on a schedule, right? And so we typically have to get a session done very fast, right? And so I don't have the luxury of being able to go on location with a bunch of assistants and set up shop and set up lighting and have access to location for hours on end to make sure we get the perfect right shot. And so we typically have to plan really well so that we can get an optimal shot, get a really cool shot in a very short amount of time.
So for Shawn, if I may ask, so for the rest of the world who, because we do have a sort of high school senior sessions in Australia. I know lots of Asian countries, they don't have any. They don't have a culture of doing senior at all. So I was just wondering, what exactly is senior session like? When children reach certain age, they do high school senior, and usually how long the session would take? Do you have one assistant or no assistant at all, or how does it work? Just a lot of interest in general.
So in the United States, United States is kind of weird. So in some sections of the United States, like the eastern, some of the eastern seaboard, their high school seniors is not a thing, right? But for most of the Midwest of the United States, high school senior photography is sort of a way of life, right? And so there's a great expectation that every 16, 17-year-old, by the time their junior year in high school, and I don't know what it is in Australia, right? But their senior year in high school, typically the summer before their senior year, they will get their high school senior photos done that commemorate their, of course, their high school senior career, right? Or whatever. And so for me, I'm a little different from everybody else. I do an hour session, right? And so I will consult with the family for about 45 minutes. We'll do an in-studio consultation. And then I go out, man, and we will shoot for an hour, right? I do an hour session. And so depending on How many locations, what the family spends, right? What they want will depend on whether I have mom grip, right, for me, or dad grip for me, or whether we have an
Yep.
assistant grip for us in this one. And so in this particular shot, I had an assistant because I really wanted to capture this shot. I really wanted
Okay.
the light in a certain place, and so I wanted an assistant to do that and not mom. So yeah,
Mm.
rock that.
So usually it's the mom or the dad is coming up and help, right?
Yeah, well, we'll have them help on occasion. Typically, if it's one location and we want to do it real fast, and sometimes that's
Mhm.
actually planned. Sometimes, and this is what's really cool about this, as a part of the seniors' experience or high school career experience, their parents were really involved in their lives, and so having the parents be
Mm.
involved with their session is really important
Mm.
to the family, right? And so sometimes
Okay.
we would do that. And then sometimes we'll do it because we need mom to hold the light, right? And we're not doing an assistant on this one. They didn't necessarily want to pay the extra cost of having a grip or that particular new
That
session.
makes
And
sense. Yeah.
yes, so yeah, rock that. Oh, I'm seeing questions come up.
Yeah. If you can address them, that'd be wonderful from Jacob.
Rock that, Jacob. When blending action and flash, what is a good shutter speed to start at? I'm assuming you're using a high speed sync. I don't think, to be honest with you, I'd have to go back and look at the metadata, Jacob. I don't think I used high speed sync because it was so overcast that day. There was no need to overpower the sun that day, and I think for this shot, I might have been at 2/50th of a second. One two
Mm.
fiftieth of a second I may have been um, for this shot in particular. Now, even though it looks like she's moving really fast, right? Typically, when you do these actions, there's not much energy involved in it, and so the pose looks actionable and like it's a whole lot of stuff going on. But really, it was kind of slow going up and coming down, and we just kind of captured her vision.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Um, so no high speed sync on this one. And I would
Yeah.
say 2/50th of a second, but that also, of course, depends on your environment, situation, lighting outside, ambient light, like anything in photography, it depends.
Mm. I think that makes sense because if we look at the building in the background, it's almost pitch black, right? Which means there's not
Yeah,
much ambient light going on there at all.
yeah,
The girl is completely being captured by flash itself.
yeah, yeah,
So one of 20 250 that'll be enough because yeah.
yeah,
But during the daytime, that's another story. If you mixing with ambient, that's another story. And
absolutely.
because showing your light is powerful enough, it pretty much your exposure is two stops down, as you mentioned. It's probably just killed all the ambient anyway,
Yes, absolutely.
which is
So,
awesome. Stunning shots.
absolutely. Thank you. And we use the 600 for this.
Yep, sure.
Rocket.
Is that 600 BD or 600 Pro? Just out
I,
of interest,
I,
curiosity.
this was the BM.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, would you, if your friends are trying to buy a 600, right?
Hmm.
600 watts light, for which friends you would recommend 600 Pro, and for which kind of photographer or style photography you would recommend 600 BD?
Um, I would recommend 600 for anybody that's probably going to be shooting a lot of outdoor stuff, right? And so
Okay.
if you're doing a lot of outdoor stuff, maybe if you're looking to overpower the sun a lot, and you're shooting maybe at noon, if you need to make sure that you have enough light to overpower anything or give you enough, that use a 600 Pro. Right, it is an amazing light. And to be honest with you, when you look at the stop differences between the 200, the 300, and the 600, right, I mean, all three of them are freaking awesome. Get all three lights.
It's not like it's not like getting married with someone, right? You can get all of those.
Yes, yes. So I love my 600. I absolutely love my 600. I thought that day I was going to have to overpower the sun. Right, we shot a couple of different locations. We shot off the water. We shot in. I was planning on shooting in direct sun. It was not supposed to rain that day, right? So I just happened to have the 600. Any light would have done. The 200 would have done great here. The 300 would have done great here. 400, of course, right? So, so rock that. Hi, Tremaine. Hey, Sherelle. Hey, Jessica. Hey, Pablo. Rock that. This was pretty cool. This was shot with a I want to say 400. This was a 400 with a 20 grid, I believe. Now this kid is also a senior, and he had a club built in his basement, right?
Oh my God.
He had a club built in his basement. So what you're looking at, his name is Ellison, and you see the sign on the left of the photograph that says the L Club. And so he's a high school senior with a club in his basement, speakers, fog machine, the whole nine. And so he wanted to commemorate. He kind of wanted to commemorate that. And so this is sort of what we did. He likes to dance, loves to jump. And so, of course, I love having people jump. So I thought it would be cool. I thought it would be cool to just capture him jumping, right? And doing his thing with a spot, right? And so using that spot as a single light, he had all of these other lights that were so cool for the scene, right? The club, all of these computerized sound ambient lights and strobes and spots that were kind of going everywhere. I didn't want to take away from that. I wanted to just put one light on him and stop that light down and make it as dramatic as I possibly could through the fog. So we did a lot of different shots like that using the 400 in the spot. And I might have been, once again, 250th of one 200th or 150th of a second.
So that's only one light, right?
One light. I love one light. Areas, especially.
Is there any is there any particular reason? I noticed you were using standard reflector with a grid. Is there any reason you're using harsh light? I noticed that you are a big fan of, lights on the harsher side. Is there any particular reason? Or
well, so when creating action and contrast, right?
Yeah.
I like to use harsher light. Now, we're talking about photos with energy, right? I have business clients, and there are a lot of women, older women, right, that I photograph for headshots. I'm using the softest light that I can find. I'm using the biggest octaves and the biggest soft boxes and bringing them as close as I can to the subject, and using all of those modifiers to make the light as soft as I possibly can. But when I have in shape high school seniors that are athletic, and I'm looking to create punch in my photographs, I try and keep the light as far away as I can. I want to create that contrast, and I like to use harsh light. I like those stark shadows. Right.
Yeah. Because I appreciate you because while you got everybody's seeing on certain Instagram, there was swiping style of everybody's doing big softbox with soft lights on everybody, regardless this person's age, what sort of vibe. It doesn't matter. You just give soft lights. I mean, I love soft lights.
Yeah.
I appreciate the fact that you use the harsh light or soft light with different reflectors in the different scenarios to really amplify the tonality of the style you're going for.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. The muscle definition, right? When you talk about muscle definition, I mean, you got to understand these are kids and they're in shape, right? They haven't eaten all of the sandwiches that I've eaten yet, right? And so, when you have thin, harsher light is much more forgiving and much more accentuating. And so that is the thing that we certainly go for, especially with this type of thing, right? So I love it. It brings pop, it brings punch. I love strong highlights. I love deep dark shadows, right? it provides for me a stark separation, and great punch and pop. So, and if you see in the next photo, same thing.
Sure. Cool.
Right. It tells a story, right? I love side lighting. I don't know if you can tell, you know,
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
Very cool, right? You'll see that you'll
Yeah.
kind of repeat it a
I
little.
love it. I love it because everybody was saying, you should absolutely avoid split lights, things like those. I was like, it depends,
It
really, right?
depends. It
It
really does
works.
depend. In a scene, it can work. And so here's the other thing, right? When we're talking about making money in the industry of photography, I like pop, right? And parents who aren't used to things popping or punching, when they see it, they love it. It provides a wow factor in
Mhm.
your images. It's not a subtle gradation of, oh yeah, I love it. It's a, oh my God, I really gotta have that, right? And so it drives people to really purchase more, to be honest with you, when you have
Mm.
punch like that. It provides a wow factor. Same thing with the next photo, changes of outfits. You can see the fog in the background. Um, I love contrast. And here is the purple lights, and his hand is in front of his face. And once again, we are side lit, and he's jumping. And it works. It works. Um, we also did it outside. So if you look at the next photo,
Yep.
you will actually see once again the grid, right? I love contrast. I love highlight, and we brought the car out, but just enough because he's the subject matter, and the center of attention, right? And so um, we actually did a shot in his album where he wanted the light in the photograph. He wanted the light in the photograph. I was like, wow, okay. So you can see it once again, one light off to the side. I love stark shadow. I love shadow falling off of feet. Um, right. And once again, without having time to set up a bunch of lights and avoid certain things and do a bunch of post production, it's striking, right? And so we can go to
Mm.
the next shot.
Yeah. It's obvious, right? Because that person, right, instantly becomes the brightest spots of the image, which
Mhm.
humans eyes naturally would go to.
Yes. Yes. So I like to bring subject forward um, from background. And so
Mm.
I will tend to expose skin to the brightest spot that I can without overexposing. Right.
Mhm.
I really like to
Yeah.
do that. We wanted the backdrop was the car. We wanted the car to look really big. So once again, we shot low, and whatever's closest to the lens gets bigger. Right. And so we have his foot right in front. We brought the corner of the car forward, put the wheel right there, and did a 3/4 tilt of the wheel
Mhm.
because we wanted it to look amazing. The kid loves his car.
Hmm.
And so we wanted to feature him with his car, with his gear on, right? So that was really important to him and making him look really cool.
Yeah. And we all love our cars.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing that I like to do, man, is that once I do a lighting setup, we get a bunch of different variants from that one lighting setup, right? So as opposed to, especially when you're talking about high school seniors, when you set up a lighting setup, you want to get variation so that it gives them choices in choosing albums and choosing prints, right? And so we can get many different types of photos from one lighting setup that works. So we got them standing up, we got them kneeling down, we got them with the hood on, we got them with the hood off, we got them facing the light, we have them not facing the light. All of those types of things. I think a person wants to do. What lens are you using for these pics? I'm going to say, let me tell you one, Pablo. Let me tell you, my favorite lens to use is my 24 to 70 2.8. I absolutely love it. It is my all-time favorite go-to, especially for high school seniors. One, I can go from portrait, though it's probably not my best portrait lens. I can go from portrait to capturing the scene with a senior. And for high school senior photos, what's important is capturing the environment of the senior. It's one of the things that you want that helps to tell the story, right? And storytell. So I love that the versatility of that 24 to 70 2.8. And it lives on my camera. It lives on my camera. Rock.
Mm. Out of curiosity, I might, just in case the user might be interested, how would you determine exposure? Are you doing manual? Are you
How would I
doing heavy mode?
say that again? How would I what now?
How do you determine your exposure on your camera? Are you using manual? Are you using sort
So
of ETG? Yeah,
I am a manual guy, and I always have a light meter on me,
yeah,
right? So I always use a light meter. So now I'll always have it with me. So oftentimes I because I've done it so much, I kind of know what I want to accomplish. I know how I want it to look, but I always set a base, right? And for me, even if I get away from that base, what I love to start off with, Aries, is I love 1/125th of a second at f8, right?
yeah,
I always go lowest possible ISO, which for me, I think my camera's optimized to ISO 100. Um, 1/125th of a second at f8 is typically where I start for a portrait, right? And so I will always um, check out the scene. I will set subject matter up. I will set my lighting up, and then I'll always take a meter reading, right? And I'm always in manual, right? So I love manual. I love it. Though, and don't get me wrong, aperture priority has its place. Shutter priority has its place. I've always fallen in love with manual, and my base, my go to is 24 to 70 at 1/125th of a second at f8. Rock that.
yeah.
Very cool.
Should I go next? Yeah,
Yes, yes. Go next. And this is the 400 Pro using the 80 S65. I absolutely love that setup. I love that. I love the proprietary mount for the 300 and the 400. Right. So
mm,
absolutely amazing. So we got a model, and we went downtown Detroit. And I just set up in an area where I saw some versatility, right? So we were in an area where there was open sun, and then right next to us was a building that provided a great deal of shade, right? So I wanted to get some
yeah,
versatility out of the area without doing a whole heck of a lot of moving. Um, Aries, I like to shoot low, right? That's just, I don't know
yep,
why. Well, I do know why, right? I like images to look powerful, right? I like for subject matter to loom over you, and especially when you got thin, nice thin. When you have models and you have thin subject matter, it works well, right? I don't do that with average clients or doing headshots and things like that. But when I'm shooting models, I love to shoot low and I love to shoot straight on, right? Um, so in this particular scene, I think I metered for the ambient light to be proper exposure for the buildings in the background. I just thought that those were cool. I thought the repetitive nature of the windows were really cool. She had on a tan jacket with a pop of turquoise in the pants.
yeah,
And so once again, now we used the softbox on this, but she has a strong jawline, right? And so we did several shots of this, but I love the shadow, the definition of the shadow right at the jawline, that brings that out. So we did stuff with her hair. The wind was blowing, and we just did several kinds of shots of this that I really
mm,
um, absolutely love, right?
yeah,
You'll also notice, I love capturing. It's just fun for me capturing lens flares. Um, I was taught coming up in learning photography, right, to always use your lens hood, and I absolutely do always use my lens hood, and to avoid the lens flare. I was always taught
yeah,
to avoid the lens flare. You don't want unwanted light entering your aperture, right? That type of deal.
yeah,
But for me, this is kind of fun, and so
mm,
capturing her in movement, I think, created a bit of energy, a bit of flow to the hair, made for some very cool kind of shots once again, right? Shadow coming off, sun shadow, the sun casting shadow from her, made for some cool shots. Just a bit of edge lighting um, from the sun.
yeah. I also love the fact her outfit actually fits the background, right? Because look at the buildings,
Yeah,
sandstone color and the blues, blue window reflecting the sky, and
yeah,
she almost mimicking the background, which is kind of bring the harmony in the color palette, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really nice.
Kind of cool.
Yeah.
Rock that. But you know, and maybe that's why I really love shooting low, especially outdoors, is I love capturing sky, right? The yellows, the blues, right? The sunsets of sky against people, portraits, I just for me is amazing. Um, it's amazing. Tremaine, who's a friend of mine, said, yes, you do. All right, rock that. Um,
Yeah. Is that how you capture sunflare? Just to take off the lens hood. Do you want to talk over
No, well, I
a bit
always
more details?
because of habit, I keep my hood on, but I still capture sun flare. So to capture sun flare, you literally just point your camera in the direction of the sun.
Mm.
Um, yeah, it's not that deep, and you'll see probably in this last shot, in the last shot of this presentation, we did sun flare again on purpose, but it was really defined, and you literally let the sun shine into your aperture to capture
Yeah.
sun flare right
Mm.
directly.
Yeah.
Now, if you're not trying to have sun flare in your aperture, certainly put your lens hood on and don't
Yeah.
point. Sun.
I think it's almost like like spicy food, you're right? The people,
Mhm.
lots of people absolutely can't take it, and people who loves it really loves it.
The-
For me, I love sunflower. It just gives you a sense of reality, right? The light
mm,
shining in your eyes, bringing you to the present moment. And in lots of movies, to be honest, we see lots of sunflowers there too. I guess human eyes just naturally enjoys, right?
mhm.
It's almost like
Yes.
the kind of backlit, give an angelic sort of feeling. There is a question from Philip Lewis.
Uh-huh.
His question is there an adapter for Bowen mount to for the 8300 Pro or 400 Pro, which is Godox mount?
Mm.
Do you want to answer that question, or do you want me to
No,
answer that question?
I'm gonna defer to you, Aries,
Okay, sure.
for that one.
Sure. So Philip, how are you, mate? So basically, there is something called S2 type bracket, S2 type bracket, which you can mount the lights in, and it helps you to adapt to the 300.
Mhm.
From the 300 Pro or 400 Pro to the Bowen mount, so you can use all your existing sort of power mounts, sort of modifiers, and also you have an additional advantage because the S2 type bracket is really strong. It actually holds really well against the outdoor scenarios like strong winds over 35 kilometers. So check it out. Check it out on the BNH or Adorama, or or at your local dealers. Yeah,
And um and I just remembered, Aries,
yeah,
the 400
sure.
actually comes with a bracket that you can actually mount on the actual light. That is a Bowens.
Oh,
It is a Bowens. It actually comes with an adapter that you put on the front. You can put on the front of the 400 and screw down.
yeah,
I don't know if you want to do that each and every time when you switch between the 65 and the
yeah,
85 light modifier to a Bowens mount, but it actually comes with it. So you get
yeah.
well served from that S2 bracket and the for the 300 and the 400 light.
Yeah, so you have choice, right? You can spend a bit more time if you want to just keep it that way. Keep you
Yeah.
probably when you once you screw that on, you probably just want to keep the adapter there for a while.
Hmm. Right.
And for S2 type, you can keep on switching anytime you want. So it depends on you. You have choices, right, Philip?
Yeah.
All right.
Rock that.
Should we
Um,
move to the next page, or
yeah.
let's talk about
Let's
this?
move on to the next one.
Sure.
Similar shot.
Yeah.
And so here we are with another senior, had a very, very cool style. She had this afro. I don't know if you know about afros, Aries. You know what I mean? So she rocked the afro, right? Big hairstyle. Uh, and we really wanted to capture that, right? We really wanted to show what that meant and show that style and really do some dramatic stuff. Once again, an in shape high school senior. Downtown Detroit, right? And so we use the 65W for this, and this was the once again the 400 light during the day, right? And so we metered, um, and so and so we did a couple of different shots in similar area, right? Same area downtown. We used her stuff, her jacket that she created, and then we we went to a Your Voice Matters. And what was cool about this shoot, Aries, is that, we just went through an election here in
Yeah.
Detroit. And what I love about young people here is that they are really, really involved in wanting to change society for themselves. Right. And so she wasn't old enough to vote yet, but she was very passionate about um, people getting out and voting. And so we wanted to highlight that and kind of show that. So go to the next slide.
Okay, sure.
How
So I think Johnson Rice, yeah, is asking the question about how high is your light and what modifier you use.
The modifier was the 65W for the 300 or the 400, and how high it was. It's up and off to the left hand side 45-degree angle. Right. I couldn't tell you how high it was. She probably has to be about maybe 5 feet something, 5'5". So maybe that is a foot or two above her. Once again, not really close, because of course the closer the light, the softer the light, the farther the way it is, the harsher, right? And so I love contrast. I love highlights, and I love stark shadows, and so we kept it just a little bit of distance away to make sure that we captured that. I really wanted to highlight the hair. This, if anything was going to be a dramatic shot, it was going to be this, right? So 45-degree angle. Of course, you're taught that contains shadows or takes shadows down lower, so that they fall on the ground or below your subject matter behind them, right? So
Okay.
that is where we are. There are times when I'll shoot directly in the face.
Mm.
So rock that.
So just you guys know that with 8065W, it's a collapsible softbox.
Yes.
It comes with multiple interior. You can use it as a beauty dish as well. I think Johnson was saying on the previous shots, he's probably referring to this one.
Okay.
What modifier do we use? I think it's the same, right?
Same one.
Is that the same? It's the same one. Yeah. Yeah, Mike Johnson, it's the same modifier, exactly the same modifier. Did you use as a softbox with a diffusing interior, or use it as a beauty dish with a reflective?
There was diffusion on the interior, right?
Okay, so
diffusion.
diffusion. All right, as a softbox.
Yes. And the reason that I did that, I wanted one light setup to be able to go to both areas, right? So shadow and out in the sunlight. I didn't want to go switching.
Yep.
So we opted to just stay there. And we could create contrast enough with the lighting that was the ambient lighting that was outside and the distance of the modifier from the subject.
Yeah, exactly. Great. Thanks.
Rock that. Okay. So here we are. We did a couple of different locations. These locations were right across from each other, right? And so you can see actual light, what was there, and then we can see creating the drama by stopping down and exposing for the skin in the front, right? So once we got to where we were, I did a couple of different types of shots, and so with the you see where how the photo looked or how bright it was outside on the left. You see what we ended up with on the right, and then if you go down to the next shot, Aries, the same.
Yep, sure.
It's the exact same setup, right?
Oh, nice.
And the exact same setup, and we have her posing her hair. And once again, I am probably a little lower than eye level, just a little lower. And to be honest with you, I like to shoot low, but the reason I did that is because we had some people in the scene that would not move. Right. So they were down the street. They would not move. And so what I did was I lowered so that I could raise above their heads just a little bit.
But it works. It works perfectly.
It worked.
Look at the highlights on her chin. I quite enjoy the lights falling off.
Yes. Thank you. Rock that.
Yeah.
Rock that. Very cool.
Just out of curiosity, you used the harsh lights with grades, right, on the previous shots with that young gentleman's personal pub in his basement, and well, in these shots you used the softbox.
I did.
Is there any particular reason?
So, and here we go. A lot of it has to do with logistics, right? A lot of it has to do with logistics. And so with the gentleman, very specifically, we set up that shot. I thought through it. So logistics, I'm going to photograph this young girl later with her mom, right? And so because we're walking around downtown, right? I'm not carrying a whole bunch of gear, and I don't have a grip with me. And so one light is the light that I'm using for everything, right? And
Okay.
so we make it happen um, with that one light. The other part of that is that she is a woman, right? A young lady. And so while we want harsh shadows, I don't want them as harsh as I do on a young man, right? I think that men are defined by texture and defined by bone structure. And I like to highlight that. I still want a young lady to look like a young lady, even if they're in shape and skinny and all of that stuff. I still want there to be gradation in highlights to shadows. I want that to be a bit softer and all of that. So it works doubly that way.
Cool. Thank
Cool.
you. Thank you. Michael South is asking, did you use high speed sync?
No high speed sync
I
on
think
this.
we discussed about it, did we?
Yes, we
Okay.
discussed it earlier with the yellow jumpsuit because it was way overcast that day.
Yeah, we
So,
did.
Mike, we were at the end of the day. We were at the end of the day. The sun was fading fast. There was no need for high speed sync. There was no need to overpower the sun.
Yeah.
We did that just fine. And to be honest with you, I think I was at where I love that 1/125th of a second at f8 or whatever, 5.6 or whatever
Yeah.
I was at. And that light is able to, of course, give you more than what.
I think that's great because, maybe while everybody's doing, I don't know, hamburgers, you just set up ice cream, right?
Yeah.
It's differentiate from the others. That's what makes the world more fun, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Rock that. Very cool.
How did you get a vertical line so straight and parallel? Did you use tilt and shift lens or tweak in Photoshop?
So, no, I did. No, I don't use tilt and shift lenses. I'll use if we're doing some type of architecture shot or interior shots and things like that for different clients. But for portraiture, I never use a tilt shift lens. What I try to do is I know when I have lines, I try to keep them as straight as possible in camera. Of course, when you are whited out, because all lenses cause distortion, right? There will be some distortion, and so taking them, there's this beautiful algorithm in Lightroom that allows you to straighten your photos. They actually look at the lines in your photographs and will straighten them as much as possible. You got to be careful with that because it will actually skew your subject matter, right? But the lines were really close enough to the subject matter where we could keep it straight. So we didn't do much fixing in that particular photograph, but there are some where we go into Lightroom and use that straighten algorithm.
Do you want to talk about those three shots?
Yes. So when we were on the roof, like I told you, I love Sky. She was actually standing up on a big concrete structure. And I just thought that this was a really cool shot where she pulled her hair back. And we once again shot this one up high, and we did a highlight on the face. And as you can see, the sun was like setting, right? So really cool. Just a really cool kind of shot and highlighting the different parts of the hair. We found another concrete structure with the Your Voice Matters, that shirt that she had on, and wanted her looking off into the distance type of deal. So we had this light really high. Once again, same light, the 65, I'm sorry, W with the 400 light. I love the shadow falling off from the back, right? You got shadow in the back and you have highlights in the front, but it brings attention right to the face, down to the center of the body, right? And her hair absorbs a lot of that light, actually softens the shadow behind her, right? So really cool. And then the first lighting setup that we had is that last shot on the right. Right, once again. So
Cool.
yes, and
Thank you, Shawn.
let's go to the
So
next.
what focal length
Say again.
are we So here's a question from our buddy Michael. He says, "What focal lengths do you prefer for portraits?"
What focal length do you prefer for portraits? I prefer all focal lengths, Mike.
Yeah, I was looking at your pictures. I was struggling to figure out.
I prefer all focal lengths. I have to tell you, once I get in camera, I love. Let me tell you, I love like straight 85, but I don't get versatility out of straight 85, right? So I love it for portraits. I love my 70 to 200 for portraits, and honestly, I love being zoomed all the way in close to 200
Yeah.
for portraits. But when capturing, and what we've seen so far are seniors, when capturing high school seniors and capturing their portraits, I love to be whited out probably the most. So you'll see me hover anywhere between 24 and 30 for
It's like 24 to 30 somewhere.
yeah. So and that's capturing the scene. So you're understanding that's capturing the senior within the scene. And then I will do a shot like this where I will zoom in. And what I love to do, so I have this signature kind of style where I do depth of field portraits. So I'll take my focus point and I'll move it in between the hands to the face, right? And do some really cool kind of shots with that. And you'll see some of that later in some photos that are in. But we wanted this Angela Davis style type of photo, and from the 70s, because she had this afro. And so we wanted her to look really serious, and we had her put her fist out. And it was actually kind of funny because she didn't really know how to do that and what the fist would look like. She had her thumb sticking out, right? So we put her fist out. We put the focus point right on her fist, and we kept the light up high. I wanted the shadow to be defined up underneath the knuckles of the fist. I did not want to highlight the fingers up underneath those knuckles, and so it created some drama. And you can see her face is slightly out of focus, which brings the fist in focus and makes the fist the subject matter.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to the next page.
Yes.
Yep.
And once again, another Angela Davis type photo. I also love doing either right or left hand justified photos. I just, it's something about, rule of thirds, look things. And so we have downtown Detroit, we have this track called the People Mover. It's an overhead train. And I just like that leading in and working as sort of a leading line into the gate, and the gate leading into her. And the shirt that she had on, and she loves the brand Michael Kors, and the shirt that she had on was a Michael Kors Your Voice Matters shirt. And so this is how we decided to highlight that shirt in black with the sun fading outside.
That totally makes sense.
All right. So for this, we used big light, and I used no modifiers on the inside. So this was the 600 Pro, I believe we used for this. 600 or the 400, and we used the 120 L modifier. So I had just gotten this modifier, and I wanted to play with it. And so we had a model in the studio, and so I wanted to have some fun with some energy. So the first shot that you saw was her kind of whipping her hair. You don't see the full shot. The one before that actually had the lights that we used.
That's right. Yep.
Yes, right. So I wanted to highlight sort of the makeup and the hair coming. I just love the wispiness of the hair coming through and coming over it. And I think we did this might have been F16. F16 light. And I love the separation that I have this stand that I use, and I put a mirror right on that stand and tilted it down. And I love the separation that it causes. It also puts a highlight in the eyes from up underneath, right? And so I think you can see that from the next photo.
Yep. Is there a particular reason you didn't use any diffusion?
I actually started with diffusion, and it was too soft. It was too soft. So I started with both diffusers in, and then I took the outer baffle off, and it was still too soft for me. For such a big light source, right? And as close as it was to her, it was still too soft um, for me. So typically, we would use a beauty dish, but I didn't have a Godox beauty dish. It had not arrived yet, right? So I was like, let me try this. I want to see how this works, and this was fun, right? So this is kind of what we captured using that.
Mm.
Right? We did a very kind of monotone makeup. And so I really wanted to highlight the makeup, um, the depth of in and around the eyes and the lips. Um, and we used the mirror to kind of highlight the eyes, add that highlight underneath in the eye and separate the jawline. And it was the same thing for the
Yep.
photo with the hair up and so very clean. My style of beauty type lighting. This is a bit of butterfly, right? So yeah, and so the next one we changed it up, and so you know how I love my grid. Um, and so we did a fashion thing. We
We
kept
do.
her. We kept it to the back. We kept it to the background, and I decided I was not going to light the background. However the light fell, it
Mm.
fell, and we did. I did a couple of these, but the one that we're showing is the one that is up high, aimed down low. I love the separation and the shadow on the neck from her face, and so we use that light just on her face. I think with a 20 stop grid again. Um, Loved it. We metered the light. I don't remember what I metered it at. It might have been at F11, maybe F11, maybe somewhere around there, right? Maybe a little bit more than F11, and got the face to where I wanted. And then with the 65 and the 400, we did the midsection, right? I love the shadow coming off the back onto the backdrop and the gradation from light falling off from the 400 on the midsection. So this was a 3/4 shot.
Mm.
And of course, she can pull that off because she's a model and she's in shape. And once again, I love the tone. I love the shadow separating collarbone from the neck. Um, all of the shadows in the shirt, right? I think adds to the composition of the shot.
Yep. So there is a question says, does Godox sell a big reflective parabolic softbox? Not that personally, not that I am aware of, but we do have a professional range of reflective umbrella if that helps. But stay tuned. They publish new products every month, if not every single week. So stay tuned.
So
They
yeah, I
probably have
think the
some.
biggest one is the 6 foot, is the 7 foot, right? The 72-inch umbrella is what they sell. And then Godox they do have a Nocta that is a 55-inch, right? Which is the biggest that I've seen. So you can search Amazon or wherever, do a search for Godox. They do have a 47 and a 55-inch. Robert says, I love this speculative light when shooting with only silver lining with no diffusion. Yes, I agree. Rock that, Rob. What lens on these shots? I want to say that this is the, the 24 to 70 lives on my lives on my camera, but I want to say that this is the 70 to 200, and I might be at 70 on this. I'd have to check the metadata.
Mm.
I do want to say that maybe I stuck with the same lens for the beauty shots, which was a 70 to 200. Rock that. Are you shooting tethered in studio? Yes. Yes. I love shooting tethered in studio.
Yep.
And part of the reason that I used to, when I started out shooting tethered in studio, um, people told me that you do it for composition and all of that stuff. But what I found is when I shoot tethered in studio, when clients can instantly see um, the quality of the product that they're getting, they tend to spend more money.
Yeah, especially pushing the dynamic range with shadow details or light details, right?
Yeah,
Highlight details. You want to
yeah,
see if you can recover them and how
yeah,
much fill lights you need to.
yeah.
You can sort of apply your preset as well. So it comes actually quite handy.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So Michael has a question about the modifier's weight problem.
Does the modifier's weight cause problems with light position and drift? Yeah, it can, Mike, if your if your scissor system, right, is not the strongest, right?
Yeah.
So you use stuff like clamps and all of that stuff to hold it down and to keep it from moving in place and all of that stuff. So it
Yeah.
can, right? I mean, the modifier that we used before was a pretty big one. That was the 120L. And I think the 120L, what is that? Is that pretty close to, is that 50 inch, 55?
120 is 120 centimeters. I'm sorry, I have to Google. Let me Google.
Yeah. Yes.
So
So
120 cm in inches, that would be 47.2 inches.
okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it can be heavy. So with heavy modifiers, I always use S2 type brackets. So as I said, it can help you to hold the lights. It can help you actually hold all the 8300 400. If I don't make mistake, it can hold 8600 too. Or V1 8200. It can hold all sorts of lights. It's pretty strong. So it can sort of.
So this was a fun one. This was a fun one. So this kid his senior year wanted to he was a chef. He was in training for chef, and that's his instructor. And so we did a shot where the instructor was down his throat while he was cutting vegetables, right, and mushrooms and things like that. And so we had him sort of being the what's the name of Gordon Ramsay. We had him sort of like being Gordon Ramsay.
Gordon Ramsay.
His throat while he was cutting the vegetables, and he was like cut them right, like cut the vegetables right. And so they could not stop laughing, right? They could not stop laughing. This was one light source where we wanted to capture it, and because there was so much movement, I wanted to use one light source. We didn't keep them stationary in a position. We wanted to just capture it, flood the scene kind of with light. And so this was fun capturing that energy. This was the 600, I believe, right? And so once again, I love to take the 600 with me, especially if I'm going to be in arenas where I'm not sure what environment I'm going to be shooting in next. I want the most possible light if I have to need it. I know we're needed that much light, but we could certainly adjust. And so that's what we did. The next one is the same. It's the same story, right? And so the kid had the hardest time kind of acting it out, and so it was just
try not to laugh.
Yeah. Yes, right. And so I think this photo goes to when you're talking about putting energy in your photos or storytelling. I should use the term storytelling. You really want to convey to the client what you need them to do, right? So you should have a vision before you approach the scene. This shoot was about his senior photos in the commercial kitchen, but we asked his instructor to be there so that we could capture this moment. And so it was a great memory, not only for the kid, not only for his family, but also the instructor, right? And the fact that they couldn't stop laughing was really fun, right? It was cool.
Yeah. I think Gordon Ramsay is a golden nuggets here. Next time I'll try Jamie Oliver.
Right.
Yeah.
Rock that.
Oh my gosh, it's so much fun.
Very cool. Now here's what we are talking about. Once again, real big soft light, and we shot this kid right next to the right of him was a white wall. right? And the reason that I did that is because I wanted to create bounce off of that wall, to give some feel. Now, for men and for boys, I love texture. All right, I love shadow and things of that nature. So this might have been a 3 or 4 to 1 ratio, that we did here. And once again, we involve the depth of field shot. Right, I love that. And so with high school seniors, I love to feature what's important to the high school senior. Right, and so he had on a pretty cool watch, and
Yeah, I
so
was checking out the watch.
yeah, yeah, it's a Kennel Cole watch, right? And so
Oh,
it's a Kennel Cole watch. And so kids love their stuff, right? They love their iPhones. They love their Beats headphones. They love their gear. They love their shoes, right? They love their stuff. And so what we do is we feature their stuff in their high school senior photos. And so
yeah,
one of the cool ways to do that without switching up lighting setups a whole heck of a lot, getting variation in the same scene or same scenario. We put his arm right out front, right? Just like this, on this side, right? Had the watch, and we put the focus point on the watch, right? And took him slightly out of focus. Just a very cool kind of shot that parents and family tend to love, right? He also played football,
yep,
right? So featuring the football and having him scream once again, depth of field shot, focus point is on the football, right? Um,
mm,
he loved this kid also loved his he loved his Timberland boots. I don't know if they like Timberland boots in Australia,
we
Aries.
love. Yeah, I have a couple of those.
Yes, right.
Yeah, yeah,
I love these types of shots. They are very simple to shoot, but they
mm,
add a great deal of contrast, depth, and interest. Once again, he's holding the shoe way out close, and as you can see, my hand in the screen, whatever's closest to the lens gets way
mm,
bigger, right? Whatever's farthest away shrinks, and so he held the boot right out front, and we featured it, right? And it's his favorite boot. It wasn't brand new, but it was his
yeah,
boot, and so we see him in the shot in the background, and you can see that the boot is way bigger than his head, but a very
yeah,
cool shot that features his stuff. And I'm going to tell you all, especially when doing high school senior photos, families tend to buy stuff that is geared towards them, that tells the story of who they are, right? And what they know about their kid, or the
mm,
kid in their family. All right. And so the next shot is the opposite of that. Same scene, same lighting. Only thing I did was switch the focus point. Focus point went from the boot, went to his eyes, right? Brought him into focus, took the boot in the foreground out of focus, made for another cool kind of shot. They absolutely loved it.
mm. Really cool.
Rock that.
So it's good to. So I have a couple of questions coming in. When lighting with reflectors, what lens are you theater studio? Can you suggest me um, the Godox 862 Canon support, Canon EOS 200D2? Um, you have any idea, Sean? Because
Can you
I
suggest me that Godox V? I've never used the V860. Um,
yeah,
so I
me
couldn't
neither.
tell you. Canon support,
Yeah,
Canon.
sorry, Kuma. We yeah, we couldn't be much of help. I'm a Sony guy, so
Yeah,
yeah, we never
and,
use that light, we never use that camera, so can't be much
yeah.
of help. I'm sorry. Mm. How do you choose your aperture to have the correct DOF?
How do you choose your aperture to have the correct depth of field?
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
Shoot at what I shoot at, right? So typically in portraiture, if you're holding way out, that's enough depth of field. I don't even typically calculate that. So I'm 5'6", or I'm somewhere around 2.8 to 5'6" when I'm doing those types of shots.
Yeah. Okay. That's a nice one. All right.
Yeah.
Next, jumping.
Yes. So These we wanted to capture high school senior girl who has some Air Jordans. So once again, the high school senior they love their stuff, right? And so
I
we,
love that shoes.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Oh man. Remember I asked you?
huh?
I have a retro one, which is black, black red, but I never get to collect one of those. I've been watching those for ages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not a so check it out, man. I'm not really a sneakerhead, but
Yeah.
I don't own a pair of Jordans, but I'm getting ready to buy a pair. Right, my very first pair of Air Jordans ever in life. Because
Yeah.
when they came out, the ones that I want, the Air Jordan threes, when they came out, I couldn't afford them back then, Aries. So I'm
Yeah.
geared to get them now. So this was cool, man. Like kids love their stuff, and so I'm thinking to myself, how do we feature her shoes and feature them in a significant way? And once again, here is the lens flare, right? So here's the
Yeah.
option of the lens flare, and here is the sun setting, and we are by the water. We're by this gate, which provides a strong leading line. And I decided to shoot low because we also have a beautiful, beautiful sky, right, with some really cool clouds in the background. And so we did some shots with her sticking her foot out, and you'll see it in the shots. If you go to the slide before, you'll see
Yep.
her foot out, and this is where we started, right, with her
Yep.
foot out, with the lens flare to the left hand side,
Yep.
and you can actually see the flare and all of that stuff in the lens. And I didn't mind that; it was cool for me. And we had her jump a little bit, and we had her stick her foot out. But I wanted to find a more significant way to feature her. And once again, that was shooting down low, and with her bending if you go to the next slide, with her bending
Yep.
her knees, right? It actually allowed me to fill up the frame more with her, with the subject matter, with her bending
Yep.
her knees, and it put the Air Jordans right in your face, right?
Exactly.
So we had her jump a couple of times, and I really love the one in the center, with lens flare right over the railing, right? All of that stuff helps to lead right to the Air Jordans, which was really, really cool.
Good Jordan 1. Brave.
Yeah. So Rob telling me to get the Jordan ones,
Yeah.
right? So
It's the
hey,
dream shoes.
I don't know, money. So these were really cool. And even if you look at the last shot on the right, her face isn't in it, but it helps to tell a story, right? And so when I shoot, we are shooting several different types of photos within the same scene, but all of the photos together help to tell a story, right? So I like putting them together. I oftentimes put them together in the High School Seniors album, right? And parents and families absolutely love it.
Yeah. If I have a Jordan 1 though, I wouldn't put on my shirt. I wouldn't put on my foot. I would just hold it to my bed.
Yeah. Very cool. Rock that. Right. Um, and here we go. I just wanted to capture her. I wanted to capture the excitement on her face. That was there when she jumped, and she's holding out the peace sign. And so she's edge lit. And so that was a fun shoot. That was a really, really fun shoot.
Yeah. So Jim, our mites have a question. So, do you use a filter when shooting to the sun?
So I did use a filter on this one. Once again, she's a young lady, and I wanted some of those shadow lines to be a little softer. So
Yep.
yeah, shooting to the sun, I used a filter. It was which one was it? I think it was the 36. I think this one was a 36 in the 300.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. All right. And so, football player, and you can see the setup right there in the middle. We use the 400 with the 65, right? Again, and what we wanted to do was capture some movement. So we got them on the 20-yard line, and we got some portraits like that, but I also had them explode off the line, right? And so on the left-hand side, that is actually how a center, he plays center in football, which is the guy who hikes the ball to the quarterback. And immediately once he hikes the ball, he comes up in center to grab the jersey of the opponent in front of him. So that's how he practices, and that's authentic. That's how we wanted to capture that. So his dad has always been his coach, and so we had dad calling out the hut, and he actually hiked the ball, right? And he went into stance, and so we did this several times. So if you go to the next one,
Yep.
if you go to the next slide, you will see the progression. Um,
Yeah.
of that, which is really cool. This happened to be an overcast day as well.
Yep.
Wasn't as overcast as the runner, the young lady that was jumping with the yellow suit on, but this was an overcast day as well, which is also cool for dramatic lighting, especially with these types of shots. And so I wanted to capture him actually doing that movement. And what's cool about this, I had him do some shots with his hands out because I thought hands out looked better. But what his family appreciated about this and what his dad appreciated about this is that this was authentic movement and that he could show this to people who are in the football world, right? He had no problem showing these types of photos to people in the football world because he did it the real and the right way. Right. So that is what we captured, right? A couple times he almost ran me over. That's how serious he was about it. But that's what we do is capture the shot. And that was my 24-70.
Works like a charm.
Yes.
Yeah. It's probably off the topic, but I don't know. Frederick's asking, do you push back your clients not want prints but digital earning? If so, do you sell prints release or it's included? I'm not sure.
I listen, I want to sell prints. I do not I offer digitals if they want them, but they are super expensive. All right. Because I don't want a client buying digital images, right? So we push to sell prints and wall art. And so we set life up that way. And so we have them come in for a consult. We have them come in for an ordering session, right? And during the ordering session, if they absolutely have to have a digital, then we charge $150 per digital image if they want it. I don't want people buying digital, so right. So and so that's a part of Frederick, how you set up your business, right? And so what I talk to people a lot about is you have to train your client. You either have to train your client or you have to fire your client. And so if you got clients that are asking you for digitals and they are insistent upon it, then maybe it does not need to be your client. Right. And so you being the business owner, you sell what you provide. Right. And so if you don't provide digitals, then they won't get digitals. Right.
I think another energy will be we are not we call this woolies or supermarkets. We cannot sell volume. Our working time is limited. We can only intake one, maximum two clients. I would assume high school session every single day. You just don't like by selling digital, it doesn't make you
Yeah.
So focus on the clients, only focus on the clients you want, and just leave rest for everybody else. Leave the digital clients with digital photographer. That might work, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And Frederick's also asking a question about the sky replacements. Do you do sky replacements or?
I very little, right? Very little. Now I don't have a problem with sky replacements, especially if it's really good. I know Luminaire has software out there that is really, really good with sky replacement. And I don't typically have a problem with that. But I can tell you that I don't have time for that. And so I focus on the subject matter, which is the senior. If you notice in a lot of my portraits that are in studio, I'm shooting on either white, gray, or black. And you don't notice that because you notice the energy or the personality of the high school senior themselves, right? And so I certainly don't have a problem with sky replacement as long as it looks realistic and it works well for the composition of the photo.
Yeah. I think for me, because I get to ask this kind of question as well. Lots of depends, right? Because if your clients feel it's authentic moments, they are living in that moments, they might, whatever the sky is, might just carry a sentimental moment, that sort of value to them. You can swap your sky, but how does it make your clients feel? Are you more on the photographer side? Are you more on the digital sort of artist side? So it depends on your clientele as well, right? Everybody has a choice. There's Lumina, there's a Photoshop. I think the Photoshop 2021 actually supports sky replacement easily, but you have to be very careful because go down that road, how would that impact your business practice? Would also be a consideration, right? Always think about the long run.
Yeah, when you're talking about clients, right? Like if you're shooting outside, are you going to replace all of the skies, right? That becomes a logistics and workflow thing, right? And you'll find that the more posts that you do, the harder that stuff becomes. And so you want to refine your workflow so that it makes you money, because for the photographer, time is money.
Exactly.
How do you feel about? Oh, he said. I think that was the same question.
Yeah.
On
Yeah.
over. So
Do you use constant lights at all?
I'm a strobe guy, right?
Yeah.
I think I may have used constant lights maybe once or twice. And I think that constant lights have gotten to the point now where they are really good. But back when I started, constant lights were not really that good. They weren't really that powerful. And so I just dove all the way in strobes. Yeah. So
I know. Yeah. As for my side, like, I by looking at Sean's picture, I don't think ML60 would do would be able to come back the sun. It's more like run and gun for the sort of night reception kind of sort of lights. I haven't received one, but once we receive one, we will give you an in-depth review about it. Stay tuned.
Very cool, man.
Yep. Here's another question for you, Sean.
How do you feel about gel for color correction, CTOs and CTB? Actually, really cool. So I actually have a shoot coming up where I'm going to be using CTO gel. So there's a session. This is going to be so sweet. Aries, I am going to actually take my color temperature down on purpose, right? I'm going to I think I'm gonna go somewhere around 2000 or so, something like that. And I'm going to use CTO on the subject to separate them from the background. So the whole purpose is to create this bluish background with the CTO gel giving correct color. So I love absolutely using that. Matter of fact, I just bought a modifier to use with Godox that sets in the color gels. Rock that.
All right, let's go on to the next image.
This is a doctor that we did. Really cool. I loved this scene. Once again, far away. Once again, in shape, right? And if you go to the next photo, you'll see kind of how that turned out.
Yep. Oh, nice.
200, right? And we had a person hand holding. And so I wanted to highlight her face on the side and have her look and appear very strong. This was actually the building where she worked, and I love this little bridge area, and I love the fact that the sun was hitting the building off to the left-hand side in the background, right? And so this was wide angle. I might have been whited out the most that I could here. This might have been 24. And actually, I didn't want it straightened, right? So I didn't use tilt shift or anything like that. And to be honest with you, using tilt shift, we still probably would have had to do some correction in post in Lightroom, right? So I just thought that was really cool. And that's what we captured.
Yeah, I don't think, in lots of contexts, yes, you do want the architecture to be straightened. But in this case, if you look at the shape of the architecture, it actually mimics the way she stands, right? It gives, geometric-wise or, graphic-wise, it brings this harmony in this whole picture. So I think in this scenario, it actually works, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, rock that. Absolutely. And then we went right around the corner in full sun, right? Yep. And what I wanted to do was we brought in the light just to add a bit of fill underneath the chin. And that's the next shot.
Yep.
right? So
Yeah.
it was really really black. So we brought in just a bit of feel, and I thought that this was really really strong. I loved the direct sun on her face. She has a really strong jawline.
Beautiful.
Once
Very striking.
70, yeah.
Yeah.
The next one's very, oh my God, so much fun. This was so much fun. So here's the deal. The high school senior girl on the left is actually the girl that had the afro, right?
Yeah.
So she's the one that had the afro in the shots earlier, and so we brought her into the studio to finish her shoot. So they shot both on location and they shot in studio. And so this is a great family. I've known them for over 10 years. I've seen this young girl grow up, and they are great friends. And so dad knew he wanted me to do the photos, but he knew that I wasn't cheap. Right. And so he was having some anxiety about paying all of this money for her senior year, all of the stuff that she needed, everything that they were going through, and stuff that they needed. And so I thought that it would be really fun to capture that experience. And so we sat them down in scene. We used the
Yeah.
120, one light, right? And we had them close enough to the background. Actually, to be honest with you, the 65 may have been on the background with this, and I didn't put it in here.
Yeah.
So, but I metered them for, it might have been F8, is what this was, and I took them through acting lessons, right? So I said, listen, I need you to look like you in pain, Dad. And I said, Mom, I need you to go for the credit card like you're trying to snatch it away from them. And I need the high school scene. I need you to do that. And so this is what they did. We did a couple of takes of this, and it was fun and turned out amazing. They absolutely loved this photograph. Very simple though. Very simple setup, right? When you talk about energy and engaging the client. And then we did the next shot, which was the
But
depth.
the whole emotion and and the flow, the emotional flow among the family is amazing, right? That's the
Yeah,
golden nugget is here. Yeah.
yes. It's the love, and then it's the love of the family, right? And so
Yeah.
it was, Dad coming into the studio and then being a part of this, and this being a part of their experience as a family, and her experience as a high school senior. She is very astute, very smart girl, right?
Yeah.
She's gonna be able to do whatever she wants in life, and so it was really cute. She said, Dad, don't worry about it. I'll pay you back when I get rich. And she was so serious when she said it that it was funny, right? It was funny. Um,
Yeah.
and so that's what we did. So he held up the credit card. We made sure we had his finger cover numbers and stuff like that. And we did the depth of field shot again, right? Once again, my staple. I think it worked extremely well here, especially when you see the daughter, her hand reaching out, and then her other hand trying to hold mom back from getting the credit card, right? It just tells a very
It's like
cool story.
mine.
Yes, yes, yes. Just a very
I can feel
cool,
it.
very fun kind of story.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite shots, period.
Yeah, but to be serious, Sean, it wouldn't work with my family. You know why?
Why?
My wife's already got my credit card.
You know what?
I have about $5.20 pocket money every single day. You know what I'm saying? That includes petrol.
So the photograph would be of you trying to take the credit card back.
Yeah, I'll probably just going to beg for credit cards. Like physically, it wouldn't work.
Oh, hilarious.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Oh, this is fun. Oh,
Yeah.
I love that fun. You know.
So think about it. Same scene as the girl up top, right? As the girl in the yellow jumpsuit. Not an overcast day. So yes, I think we shot high speed sync with this one. And we did some very fun, very cool kind of stuff, right? To bring the sky into proper exposure. Right. I didn't want to underexpose the sky. I wanted to kind of keep it bright and airy because she was a cheerleader. I still wanted strong lighting, right? I still wanted strong shadow, but I wanted a brighter background, right, and a brighter sky. I think it really told the story a lot better.
And
This shot.
to be honest, she like with her skin tone and with a dark outfit and dark hair.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's nice contrast. It's nice contrast,
Mm-hmm.
right? With a lighter background, anyway.
Mm-hmm. Rock that.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Rock that. Are there any more questions?
No, the previous comments we got is a laugh out loud.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rock that.
I'm pretty sure it refers with the Visa card conversation we had earlier.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. The Visa card. Yes. So, break dancer. So, we had a break dancer here in a dark parking structure. And so once again, very defined, a lot of tattoos, and did a lot of jumps, right? And so this is a class that I taught, but I thought this was really, really cool. I was getting a lot of spread on the light, so I wanted to stop it down. So we were kind of assigned a certain softbox, and it was a Godox softbox. And I think this might have been 47 with a grid. Right. And so we gridded it. And this is what we got. This might have been 2/50th of a second here.
Okay, cool. Shawn, I'm going to let you to share. Let's just maybe finish sharing this thing, like 2 last images before we go down for the day. Yeah.
Okay. We are almost done. We're almost time.
Yeah.
Dude, let's go. Can we go to the last?
Sure, of course.
Images?
Yeah, which page do you want me to go to?
Oh man, this is video stuff. Let's go to the jump, right? So let's go to the 50. Can we do 50 real quick?
Yeah, sure. All right.
Can
you guys see the video playing here?
They should be able to see the video. Yes, I can see it.
Good.
Actually, this video ran a little bit long. It was supposed to be cut, but yeah. So we got him. We got him jumping. We used the 400 with the 85W, right? And we were in between 2 structures, and so I wanted enough light on him to just illuminate the area. We had some separation from the backlight, and so go down to the next one. Yep. 51.
Okay, 51. Sorry, I was looking at Robert.
That's okay. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so this is what we want to do. We wanted to highlight the suit. This guy's a suit designer, but he's very charismatic. Right. And so we wanted to capture the personality of him, even wearing the mask during the age of COVID. And this is him jumping. Right. And this is a one light from left hand side. And we just had enough ambient to capture the background. I just wanted to illuminate it enough with the concrete and the structures. I like texture with men. Right. And so let's go down to the next photo because I know we don't have a whole heck of a lot of time. This is him in shadow area, but I liked the background behind him. I love that he had a leather tuxedo. So we wanted this to be really, really cool. Right. And there's a video there with that. And I think we were using the same 400 and the 85 for that. Right.
Sure. Do you want me to? Is that the video you want me to play, or?
Yeah. Here's this video is the one that you.
Oh, okay. Yep.
No. The next one. The next one.
Oh, the next one.
The next one. Yeah. Let's do the next one.
Sure.
Because this is one of my favorite shots, ever. Right.
Oh yeah, I love that one too.
Yeah. So this is once again. This is the 35. The 65. I'm sorry. Far away. I think we metered. I think the ambient light was like F15. It was giving us. I love the warmth of the sun setting behind him, and right in between the buildings. Right. So the first shots that I captured were right next to his head, and we even got some with the lens flare right next to his head, which was kind of cool. But this one I absolutely loved. We put the light on the top half on purpose. I wasn't really crazy about the pants, and we really wanted to highlight the leather suit, right? Yep. Just a very, very, very cool shot with the shades and the buildings. behind them and the texture underneath them highlighted really well. And then creating a little bit of shadow by the beard underneath the chin. I just thought this was this is one of my favorite shots that I absolutely love capturing.
Yeah,
Right.
I love that shot too. Yeah.
Right.
So let's call it for the day, and thank
Okay.
you, Sean, for this
Wow.
great presentation. It like flies
Yeah, that went fast,
so
man.
fast. Yeah, with lots of questions and introductions. I hope everyone just had a great time and enjoyed this as much as I do. For the guys who's around Detroit, please just go to what's the Rock That conference, right?
You get
You
yeah.
guys get
So
yeah.
Rock That Conference, rockthatconference.com. You can also go to welovephotographers.com.
Okay.
There's a place you want to go to. You'll see our last conference, right? We couldn't do it this year, of course, because of COVID, but we are June 17th through the 19th, 2021. June 17th through the 19th, 2021. We are the Multicultural Association of Professional Photographers, which means we welcome everybody. We are a platform for all nations, for all cultures, for all personalities. We want everybody to come through. We want to make it a great one this year. We're going to be investing in our younger generation, Generation Z, next year. So yeah, hey,
Yeah.
Godox is that deal, you all. Money.
So also, if you guys want to follow Sean's personal work, that's his Instagram holder is right under his gorgeous
Right, yeah.
face.
Yeah.
Yeah, here we go.
There we go, right
Exactly.
there. Yes, there we go, right here. Shawn Lee Studios.
I hope everybody had a great evening / morning or afternoon, and I'll see you guys until next time. Bye.
Thank you, Aries. Bye-bye, man.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.